So I was working on another Blender project for Sunday. Oh, by the way, I'm doing Blender Sundays. I don't know if that is gonna catch on. I hope it does. I love Blender. Hope you guys love Blender. Um, but yeah, I was doing a project and I just didn't like the way it was coming out near the end. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to make for this very first inaugural Blender Sunday. But we're gonna decide right now. Okay, we got a cube here. I'm not gonna delete the default cube this time. Everyone deletes it, but let's show it some love. You know what? We're gonna make a subway train. Roll the intro. Alright, so what are we going to do here? Oh wait, let me turn on keys before I forget. Yeah, I found this. I've been seeing on all the other tutorial stuff, so I was like, oh, let me try that. Let me be fancy. Alright, so we're gonna take the cube, gonna cut it in half, going to delete one half of the faces, delete the other half, just so I can get a mirror going. Because mirrors are cool, and they make everything better. Okay, it's actually going to be symmetrical on both sides, more or less, not the front. So I'm also going to do that. What else? If I'm going to do that, I should probably delete this face. And we're going to slap on the mirror so I can actually see if what I did was good. Mirror, where are you? Okay. Looks good. I'm going to take the, actually no, I'm going to do a subdivision. Yeah, there we go. Grab that. Oh, do I need to grab the bottom one? I don't want this subway train to look. Alright, actually I'm going to grab the top first, scale it up a bit, grab the side, drag it out a bit, scale it on the z-axis, and pull it down a little bit. I'm going to grab just that edge and pull it up. I'm going to grab this, move it out a bit. This train's a bit narrow. Alright, that's starting to look good. Okay, I'm going to turn on the other half of the mirror. And it's too close. I'm going to turn on clipping so it doesn't break when I try and pull it apart. And I'm only selecting half the mesh, aren't I? Okay. I'm going to pull it now. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to make one train car, and then we're going to multiply them. See how that looks. Alright. Going to move this down. I'm going to make some windows. Yeah. Make another window over here. Pull this one in a bit. Kind of like how it's bowing up here, but I'm going to pull this up a bit. Yeah, there we go. Actually, this probably should be raised because it has to use the tracks underneath to go through, right? Okay. Got that. I'm gonna grab just this. I'm gonna turn on proportional editing. I'm gonna grab this and pull it out a bit. Awesome. Alright, now we're gonna make that mirror like I've been saying and not doing. Grab that, turn off proportional editing. Move it in, scale it till it's about flat. Being completely flat is ideal, but I'm also trying to make this tutorial short, so can't go too crazy with this. I am gonna need to grab these at the top, pull them down, or not. I don't really know. Now we're gonna grab this. Yeah, there we go. Pull that down. There we go. First front window, and I think they have side windows too, or at least I've seen some with side windows. Even though we're gonna have ours with side windows, even if that's not a thing, and I just totally made it up. Alright. I'm gonna make that a face. Well, push in the face is what I meant to say. Right, and I'm gonna make a little placard here, or I guess display sign, yeah? to say where it's heading off to. Oh, maybe it should be all of this. Could just done a border select, but okay, let's see what that looks like. Gonna shoot it inward a bit. Pull in. There we go, that looks good. I'm gonna scale it in a bit, scale it down. Now it's looking really good. Great. Let's add some side details. Gonna make a window over here. I'm thinking about splitting this up into like maybe multiple tutorials, because I'm going to do the outside in this one for this Blender Sunday, but maybe the next one will actually make an interior for it. Okay, I'm trying to see if maybe I want to make like a raised edge over here. Nah, it should be smooth. It should stay smooth. Okay, we're gonna grab this. Maybe some of these. I'm gonna extrude them inward to make a little door area. And then add some details on the door. I'm gonna turn off clipping just so I can actually move this side freely. Scale it down a bit. Scale it up on the Z-axis a bit, just to get some door detailing going. I'm gonna turn back on the clipping just to make sure nothing breaks. And I don't forget. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna make it like middle bar that goes across it. Scale it down on the Z-axis. Move it down on the Z-axis. I'm gonna add another one going over here. Move it on the Y-axis. Should I also have one down here too? Yeah. And I'm gonna extrude those in a bit. I'm gonna make those windows too. Also, make sure you have Cycles Render turned on, because again, Cycles Render is really awesome. I said again like I said it before, but I haven't. But I'm imagining if I keep doing these, yeah, it's going to be a real trend. Alright, that looks kind of good. Yeah, this looks good. Let's see what this looks like from the side. There we go, a nice outline of a train. Alright. And trains also have those little like separator things going on over there. This one doesn't because I haven't put them in, but let's do that. I'm going to select the edges over here. Oh, won't let me do a loop select. Oh well, I can do it manually. Alright, I'm going to deselect those faces. Don't want them in this. And of course I deselected the edges too. Let me redo that real quick. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate, and I'm going to separate by selection. I'm going to go over to the second thing, which is just the edges. And I'm going to start extruding it. Yeah. Gonna scrunch that down a bit, because I like canopy, I think. Some sort of tarp material so people can actually travel in between the cars while it's moving, but also it can make turns and stuff without braking. Alright, and I'm going to... There, it's rough, but it should be considering it's like a canopy tarp kind of thing. I'm gonna quickly slap some colors onto this. This one needs a new material. I don't want it to affect the other one. And I'm gonna make it just like this dark kind of material. I'm gonna quickly make this a glossy silver. That's a bit too glossy. The train like has never seen a day of use in its life. I think that looks good. I'm gonna make it like velvet. Yeah, there we go. Turn down the sigma value so it's more clothy. Alright, and just to see what this looks like, I'm going to quickly put on some array modifiers. It's arraying in the wrong direction. But I'm also going to turn on this one so I can actually see what's happening. Again, in the wrong direction. We're going to use constant offset because it's less likely to slowly shrink the distance. That might be a problem. I mean, I want the train to stop at this distance, but as you can see, it's kind of biting through the mesh, and that's not cool. So I'm going, I have the wrong thing selected. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to fix it while I can still see what this one looks like. There we go. There we go. Much better. Not biting through the mesh anymore. It looks much more cloth-like. All right. That looks cool. So I'm going to take this and I am going to make another one and another one. I can make 10. Let's make 10 train cars. And I'm gonna select the partitioners or whatever they're called, probably partitioners, and make 10 of those. And it totally disobeyed me. Yay. Oh. Haha. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, we have the Y axis turned on, and we don't need that. Alright, does that look good? No. That number needs to be refined a bit. It's probably 10.8 like the other one. Yeah, but that one actually has a gap. I don't actually want that there. Okay. That's good. That's good. That is... needs to be pulled up a bit. Here and over here. Object mode. Yeah, that looks good. It's slowly eating into the mesh. So I'm going to turn on both constant and relative offsets. I'm going to turn off that one so it'll stop moving them. And I'm going to make this a really tiny number. See if we can't fix it from slowly eating into the mesh. Alright, it's working. It needs to work a little bit better. Should really be looking at the last one because that's where it starts to mess up at. It's only messing up by a small amount, so that's why I'm changing the number by almost meaningless values. This is going to vary on yours if, again, you're following along. Yeah, that looks perfect. Good, good. Okay. Now let's get to actually coloring this train because right now it's matte. And although that, in my opinion, it looks kind of cool that way, we need to make this look more train-like. Let's switch over to material mode. I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to name it partitioner. And this train cars. I'm going to drag the partitioner and the train cars on the same, well, parented to one another. And that looks really good. I'm going to cut off that last one because, oh, I'm on the train, aren't I? Yeah. I'm going to cut off that last partition because why does it need another partition if there's no train attached to it? Okay. Going to move up the mesh a little bit. And I'm going to add 2 cylinders, or maybe they should be cubes. Yeah, I'm going to make them cubes. I'm going to make 1 cube over here. Scale it on the x-axis. Scale it on the z-axis. And I'm going to loop cut it over here. Loop select over here. Scale it on the x-axis. There we go. We have our first rail. And I'm going to actually turn on a mirror for this. I'm really abusing mirrors today. I'm going to move this over a bit and move this to the center. Actually, I kind of like the height where it is right now. If I move it up, it'll clip through the mesh. I'm going to move it up a little bit, I lied. Maybe I don't like the height. Alright, I'm going to make this a glossy. Make it rough. Make it dark because it's been moving and there's like oil and stuff that I'm pretty sure these things use when they travel over it. And I'm going to array it. I'm going to array it. Actually, I should be using relative. I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to move it over by 1 unit of itself on the y-axis. And we're going to just keep these going. I'm going to cut through the cloth, but really it doesn't matter. No one's going to see it from the bottom. This is just me being... It was just me being a little OCD earlier with fixing that. Because again, no one will see it. I don't know how far I'm going to make this go. Let's say 60. Just that way it extends farther over there. I'm going to pull this up a bit. Right there. And just so it'll actually disappear out of sight, I'm going to make this I'm gonna try to make this loop perfectly when we animate it, because we're gonna animate it too today. I wonder how long this video is. Going to extrude that down, scale that up or out, drag that up, cut a hole in it, got another hole in it, and just to make it more archy, because this is going to be a tunnel that the train goes into. I'm going to do that. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to add a plane. That'll be our ground for what these tracks are resting on. I'm pretty sure I am going past whatever time limit I mentally set for myself. So I'm going to try and do this quickly. Scale up by 20. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. I can just do an array and turn that off and move it by 1, the y-axis, and do it a ridiculous amount of times. Yeah, there we go. Gonna slide that up. I'm going to slide this up too, so that way the tracks and the ground all point outward, like into the train. I'm going to look from the camera view just to make sure this actually is lined up properly. Because that's one of the things about making a endless loop like this. Camera positioning really matters. I'm going to lock the camera to view and try and see which angle will look really cool for it. Oh, there we go. Select this so I can rotate from it. There we go. That looks good. And this thing still has no textures on it, but we'll fix that. Gonna name this arch. Gonna name this rails. This ground. Okay. I'm going to make the location over here just slightly out of view of the camera. I'm going to keyframe that with I. And I'm going to, we're going to make this go up to 100 this time. Just that way it'll render quickly. Okay. I don't know why I just did a keyframe there, but we're going to zoom it out. I want it to completely pass out of the camera's field of view. I to keyframe that, and let's see what this looks like. That looks good, but I know that it is not actually going smoothly. It's slowly ramping up as it progresses, and that would kind of look cool if we were trying to, like, perspective-wise, but it's doing it more aggressively. The camera is automatically going to do a perspective shift because it's moving in front of the camera. Of course it is, but that's kind of like an exaggerated effect. So I'm going to go into the graph editor real quick. I'm going to select everything. So it's going to select all the keyframes, and there's only a motion on the y-axis, which is why there's a green line here. I'm going to go into key, interpolation mode, and switch it over to linear, so that way it's smooth, because we want to give the effect that this train has already been moving, unless Maybe it's coming out of the station. Maybe we don't want to give that effect. But I want it to look like it's been moving and we just happened to catch it on its journey. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the lock so I can actually get out of this view easily. And now I'm going to start detailing my train. I'm gonna do some simple decorations on it. It's gonna be a stripe here. Sign. Maybe it should be white. Nah, it's gonna be orange. Orange gives it character. I'm going to, because we don't actually have an interior, I'm going to, this is going to be the material for the glass, but I'm going to, actually I'm going to save some faces here, and we're going to hit delete, but I want to dissolve faces. I'm going to make it into one face, because there's no reason to have all these cuts on one piece of glass. Delete, dissolve faces, same over here. Alright, gonna select that, assign it, and I don't want actually anyone to see inside of this train, but I also want it to be partially transparent. So normally we would use the glass tool, obviously, but that would make us be able to see inside, and I don't want that. So I'm going to make a mix shader. I'm going to make it glossy for the first one. And the alternate one is going to be transparent, but if I do this right, which I hopefully will, I'm gonna turn down the roughness. It's glass, so it shouldn't be, I'm moving it the wrong way. There we go. Technically it's transparent, but not really, so it's gonna give a good effect if we have the lighting right, and make people think that maybe they're seeing inside the train, but it's really too glossy. It's like a double-sided mirror. You can't really see through it unless you're really trying. Alright, this is going to be where the text is going to go, but we're going to do that definitely next time. I'm going to switch this on so I can actually grab it from this side and not have to look through the cloth. And it's going to be another mix shader. It's going to be a kind of diffuse black or grayish kind of, and a little bit glossy, also really dark though. And it's going to be mainly diffuse. We're going to get some cool font next time to put over there so it'll actually scroll by. And we can say wherever this train is heading to. I actually didn't color over here. This is also glass. Going to delete, dissolve faces. This one's actually bowed a little bit, so I'm going to leave this one not dissolved. Alright, that looks cool. I'm going to add some orange stripes to the top too. Just looks kind of empty up there. Gonna add a black stripe down the middle. Or again, maybe it should be white. I'm gonna leave it as white. Oh, that kind of looks cool. This train's a bit too colorful now, in my opinion. Gonna make one go across the front of it too. Just making it more colorful. You guys don't have to do this, of course. It's up to you. It's your train. But alright, that looks good. Let's view from the camera. Switch over to rendered mode. The lighting is bad, but we'll fix that. Alright, that looks good. We're gonna have to add some scenery next time too. Or maybe not next time, maybe there'll be a third part. Who knows? I'm gonna turn on border and crop so that way it only has to deal with this while I fix the lighting situation real quick. I'm just gonna turn on ambient occlusion. Oh man, this train is really dark. Let's fix that. It's really because the world is dark though. It's just reflecting what it's being given. So I'm gonna turn that up. See what I mean about they can kind of see through it, but this train's moving too fast. They can't see that unless they pause it. So I should have saved this, but I'm gonna switch over to GPU. Gonna make this a video format. Doesn't really matter which one. I'm going to store it in Blender renders. I store all of my stuff. And we're gonna render it. So I will see you guys when this thing finishes rendering. Can't control my tongue today. Oops, should have turned on motion blur. Sorry about that. I'm gonna leave it at its default settings. Motion blur is just gonna make it cool looking because it's a train and it's moving really fast. Of course it's blurred. If I don't turn that on, it's not gonna do it. Alright, let's do that again. Oh, it finished. Oh, let's see what that looked like. Gonna go to Blender renders. Forgot what I named it. I don't think I named it anything actually. Huh. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna make this loop. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, so next time we have Blender Sunday, or maybe I'll change the day around. We're going to be refining the outside because right now this is a really low poly mesh. I guess that'd be good if you were making a game or something like that, but we're not. We're doing this for detail and art, and it's really low poly. So we're going to add some detail to the side. Like I looked at some pictures of trains while I was doing this, and I noticed that they had like kind of like weird side things. I'm not sure why they do that, but they have like paneling all over the place. So we're going to throw some hecka panels on the side of this